Hello, and welcome to the Ethanol Producer Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Anna Simet. We're here live at the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo in St. Louis. I am here with a couple of folks from the amazing company CTE Global. I have Pedro Pena, VP of Technology and Innovation. I also have Adam Vaughn, Western Region Technical Manager. Pedro and Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Well, welcome back, I should say. Let's just roll into things, guys. CTE provides the industry with innovative enzymes and yeast solutions. What products do you guys have right now to help customers who are focused on improving margins and maximizing output, particularly corn oil yield?
Yeah, sure. Great question, Anna. So I'll start with, because you mentioned their margins and production. So talk a little bit about profitability. You know, we usually operate with three principles. So number one being, we want to convert that feedstock as completely as absolutely possible. And maybe I should say as completely as practically feasible, because there are some limitations, right?
Yeah.
And once we're converting that feedstock as completely as possible, we want to be able to extract as much value from that feedstock. And that includes having the right yeasts that are going to take that, say, glucose from the starch or glucose from the fiber and convert that into ethanol in a very effective way at high yield with minimal waste byproducts. You also want to have your process primed to tap into all the corn oil that you're freeing up as well. Mm-hmm. And you want to do that day in and day out. So you got to have that consistency. You need to have a yeast that's able to maintain production even through hiccups, because we know there's always hiccups in the plant. I mean, it's just life, right? So you got to maintain that consistently and hit your targets. So there's something there too, because your yeast has to be able to handle a very high solids loading, has to be able to handle short fermentations to drive that throughput. And then your operations needs to adapt very quickly to those hiccups. And we'll get into a little bit later, but we take a lot of pride in supporting our customers in managing those hiccups, in any way possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly where my mind, when you ask that question, is our focus is on providing those solutions. And absolutely, we have a lot of products. But I think what sets us apart is we're not a one-size-fits-all type of solution provider. Whereas anybody can introduce a new product to a process and shoot for a desired outcome. I think when you pair that introduction of that product along with some support, some on-site knowledge, some on-call individuals who can come in and help ensure that not only is the product being introduced in the best conditions under which to achieve that desired result, but that everything else that's going on in the plant is running in a manner that's going to maximize that potential for success.
Yeah, but the one thing I will add, because I think in the question you had, in particular, which products, and I do want to highlight some products that we're working on, some innovations that we're bringing to the market right now in terms of fiber conversion. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our customers, we have, I would say 99% optimized on all the fundamentals, and that's converting the starch to a very high level, converting that protein matrix and opening up and gaining access to that oil. Mm-hmm. But not all have taken advantage of the oil that's associated with the fiber. So with these innovations, we're able to break that fiber matrix to a different level, that now we're freeing up oil that before, frankly, we just couldn't get access to. So leading to better yields, and it's almost an immediate response. So our customers are really excited.
Yeah, it is exciting. Well explained, you guys. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Regulatory programs such as the 45Z and then D3 RINs, they're influencing decisions for ethanol producers. Do the products you mentioned also contribute to lowering carbon intensity?
Yeah, another great question. So at CTE Global, we don't really view our role as simply selling products. Our role is partnering with ethanol producers to help them optimize their operation and achieve the goals that are most important to their business. today carbon intensity is becoming an increasingly important part of the conversation because programs like 45Z and D3 RINs, every plant is looking at how they can improve efficiency, how to improve yields, maximize co-product value, and basically just get the most, as Pedro said, get the most from that kernel of corn. And those improvements can be a meaningful impact on the overall sustainability and economics of the operation. So what we bring to the table is a combination of technology, technical expertise, and hands-on support. We work alongside our customers to understand their process, identify the opportunities, and help them capture more from every bushel. And in the case of corn fiber, that might mean helping a plant unlock additional fermentable material, improve process performance, or create pathways that support their long-term strategic objectives. So ultimately, our goal is to help each facility operate more efficiently and profitably. As the industry continues to evolve and place greater emphasis on carbon intensity and renewable fuel incentives, we want to be a trusted partner that helps plants navigate those opportunities and position ourselves for success.
Yep, and what I will add to that, Anna, we have customers approaching us now, asking us, like, hey, give me your 45Z package.
Okay.
And by that they mean, going back to my first principle, how do you make the most of that feedstock? Because the feedstock not only is your biggest cost input, but it's also on your carbon intensity. That's also your biggest contributor, 40 to 50% going to the corn. So you want to maximize what you're doing with that corn to lower your carbon intensity score, even if it's just a little bit, to get you into the next tier. And to the second part of your questions on the D3 RINs, so the fiber converting enzymes that we discussed, whether it's the cellulase that converts to cellulose, I should say, or the silanases and hemicellulases that open up the hemicellulose portion of the corn, when you're able to do that, you can access those sugars that are fermentable by the yeast. So cellulose is a polymer of glucose. It's a different bond than starch, but it's a polymer of glucose. So if you can ferment that, you will increase those volumes for your D3 RINs and provide more value that way as well.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Really well explained. One area of optimization right now is nitrogen management, particularly with the recent increase in urea prices. Are there enzyme-based solutions that can help producers reduce usage and lower costs?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, we have seen urea prices skyrocket, the conflict in the Middle East, and a lot of our customers are asking for some support. And we can totally do that. I mean, going back to my first principle, making the most of the feedstock, well, the farmers already put a bunch of nitrogen on the field, right? And the corn plant has incorporated that into the corn kernel. So why not utilize that protein that's already in the kernel? So as you grind that corn with the right liquefaction proteases, you are able to take that protein and convert it into short peptides, into amino acids, and then that yeast can consume and grow the population. Likewise, we also have firm proteases that basically sustain that abundance. So with the lick protease, it's at time zero, you have a very high level of very high quality nitrogen. With the firm protease, we can sustain that abundance and drive that all the way to the end of fermentation. And with that, we can really get to a point where we're eliminating all the inputs. I mean, urea, we can drive that to zero in some cases, right? Not every case, but in some cases.
Okay.
Right, and what I've seen at customer sites is just what Pedro's saying, to the extent that with the increase in those urea costs, if the customer didn't approach us, we approached the customer and said, hey, this is where the industry is at the moment in terms of urea cost. And they're like, well, what can we do about that? And that's where these proteases really have shown a lot of value for our customers, because we can introduce either the liquefaction or the fermentation protease and displace that urea. Yes, there's a cost for the protease but to my knowledge, you can add quite a bit of urea to a process, and you're never going to increase your corn oil, right? It's only with the breakdown of that protein structure via the proteases that you're going to access that additional corn oil. So not only are you satisfying that nitrogen requirement that you are removing via the urea, but you're also increasing the potential to recover some additional corn oil, which at the end of the day, the customers are very happy to see.
Awesome.
You guys, so your technology center, what other services do you offer there, and how do producers use them today?
Yeah, so we feel that it's our responsibility to support our customers with every step of the process, especially where our products are involved. So we put in a lot of effort in standing behind our products. So we've developed a very comprehensive portfolio of process analytics in our technology center in St. Paul.
Yep.
And just to kind of go back to the last question, on nitrogen optimization, we do a ton of nitrogen testing, and we break it down into what's the contribution that's coming from amino acids, what's the contribution that's coming from ammonia, what's the contribution that's coming from urea. And we're able to break that down in a way that then helps the producer and our team, like Adam, out in the field to make the right decisions on what the next step is to optimize the nitrogen in that fermentation. Just to give you an example, because I can't go into all of them, but let me give you a couple more that we're very excited about, especially going back to the first question on corn oil. So we've also implemented some testing on corn oil. We call it corn oil tracing. Basically, we follow the corn oil all the way from the corn flour as it goes through the process. We test streams in the back end so that we can identify any bottlenecks, and we can help the team, especially the field team, we can support them in making the right decisions on where is this bottleneck and what do we have to do to make sure that we send the oil to where we want it to go and not to where we don't want it to go, so that we can maximize the yield. And the last one that I will bring up, and this is maybe a little bit more R&D and goes back to the fiber conversion and D3 rings. We want to make sure that everything that we're doing from a product perspective, product development perspective, is taken into account that the methodology that's approved by the EPA for D3 rings. And with that, we run that method. It's an ASTM method. It's published, available to the public. We run that in our lab so that we can really understand how our technology impacts that conversion. So then when our team goes out into the field with the product, we get the best result out of the field. And that's how we kind of utilize our process optimization in our technology center. And everything that we learn then gets back and incorporated into our innovation program, trying to make our next product family better and better as we go.
Right. So in addition to the list of various analytical methods that we can run to support a trial. So for example, running one of our alpha amylase products that has the liquefaction protease in there. A lot of times when we are running an alpha trial, the question is, well, how do we quantify the benefit of the alpha? Because it's a little far removed to just look at your ethanol production at the back end, right? Because there's a lot of process in between the introduction of your alpha and the ethanol coming out the back end of your plant. So that's one of the areas where our tech center really shines, is they have all these analytical methods. So whether that's the fan assessments that Pedro referred to, or the starch solubility to see how effectively are we actually solubilizing the starch that they're paying to put into the system. Are they making it accessible for conversion? Then similarly, we're testing the residual starch out the back end of the process to see how efficiently we are consuming what was converted. And then Pedro already touched on the oil tracing, but I guess the one other aspect to the technology center that we probably don't highlight enough is that there's also a lot of risk mitigation that can go on by sending samples to our tech center, and we can actually perform most of what occurs in the plant on the bench scale. Yes, it's bench scale. It's not a 700,000 gallon fermenter.
Yeah.
But the concepts still apply. So by pulling some samples, analyzing them up in our tech center, we can provide a customer a little bit of confidence before even introducing that product into their process, that they may see the desired result without significant effect.
Okay. Well, very interesting, you guys. My last question. These services are part of your broader offering called CTE Complete. Can you explain your overall approach to customer service?
Yeah, sure. We're very proud of this, Anna. We're customer first. We're 100% committed to our customers. We build lasting relationships, lasting partnerships. Like I said, we bring that commitment, and we make sure that we help our customers succeed, because we know if we can help them win, our win takes care of itself. Honestly, we have faith. It's going to take care of itself. Right? So that's number one. And then number two, our customers have very high ambitions, very high standards. And at that level of eliteness, the attention to detail, it's incredible. I mean, it's a very complicated process. The attention to detail is very, very important. So we take that very seriously. We have built our team in a way to be able to pay attention to those details. And I'll kind of take you through the different programs. So we just talked about the Technology Center and all the analysis that we do to help our field team to then have data. So when they go out to optimize the process, so Adam is in the technical services, as you mentioned, he can go out there and utilize that data to help the customer optimize nitrogen, for example, or optimize their starch conversion, for example, because we know that that's important. So we're going to invest in that for our customers. The second one I would like to highlight, our operational support team. Likewise, they use some of the data that we generate to help our customers optimize, but they also do these operational reviews where they walk the plant with the production managers, the plant managers, the operators, and they try to find opportunities to improve. Because you walk the plant every day, it is possible that, I didn't see that there.
Yeah.
There's something that needs to get fixed right here, right? And to go back to the point about paying attention to details, we go as far as providing a Bioprocess Academy, where we're that entry-level operator that started last week. We care about that person, and we want that person to succeed at that organization. So our team runs these Bioprocess Academy, and I saw our professor, Michael, which is around here. He works on putting together a lot of the content. We want to teach and we want to train our customers in executing with the new technology that we're bringing on site. We feel like that's very important. And then finally, our latest addition to the program, our CTE Insight program. It's our data program. It's basically putting everything together. We generate a bunch of data. The plant generates a bunch of data. Our operational team needs to look at a lot of different data. How do we organize that data in a way that's usable by all of us to generate insights or to find the next solution? They're doing that for us and more. So now that data is organized in a way that then we can train for maybe an AI bot that we can interact with to ask questions about, hey, I'm trying to understand what's going on at this facility. Can you show me the data in particular, let's say, to an infection and what may be causing that? We can generate that very quickly now with the help of the CTE Insight, just the way that everything is organized, and it's our fingertips so that everyone can act as quickly as absolutely possible with that data.
And I think, in my mind, the best way to answer that question would basically just be to give you an overview of, well, how do we apply all of these resources that Pedro just described?
Yeah.
What does that actually look like in application? So quite honestly, we have some trials that are currently ongoing that are with a new product, and again, this goes back to that relationship that we like to build with our customers. We want to provide them the best products and innovations as quickly as possible. But as some people very, very smart in the industry have said, you want to be on the cutting edge, not the bleeding edge. So with this type of trial, we touch on all of the different resources of the CTE Complete program in order to maximize the potential for success. So that starts with our tech services. So my team and the teams in the north and the east. We have the technical account managers that are on site at these customer sites, and they're in there, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and they. I can't say that they live at the plants, but they're there frequently enough that they know that process, and they know that the product that we're coming up with would be a good potential fit. So they will be very entrenched in developing the trial protocol for this. So we'll sit down with the customer and we'll say, hey, this is what we'd like to do. These are the conditions you're running. These are what we would propose that you run in order to maximize the potential for success. And here's what the trial would look like on a calendar, right? Again, best laid plans. And then we get the green light from the customer, and they're like, all right, well, let's go. And once that green light is given, it's not just our technical service account manager there. That's when we have operations on site, because they're going to be not necessarily focused on the direct product application, but they're going to be helping monitor the other processes that are working in conjunction with fermentation, just to make sure that everything is running as steady state as possible. Everything continues to run as steady state as possible throughout the duration of that trial. We have our tech center. They actually predate the trial, because they're probably analyzing the baseline samples before the product is even introduced, and we'll be sending some additional samples over the course of the trial. And then, as Pedro said, we also have our insight team, and that's basically as close to real-time data that we can achieve without plugging directly into the customer's DCS, right? And not only do we have access to that data, but it's visual. So we can visualize the sugar kinetics. We can see how that process is running probably within hours of that data actually being generated. And all of these things together, in my mind, describe how that CTE Complete program comes together to support our customer, especially with the trialing of a new product.
You guys are up to some exciting things, and I have to say I love how you talk about your customers. Obviously, treat them really well. I think this has been a fantastic deep dive into the exciting things that you have going on, and what you guys are all about. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap?
Well, I guess I'll just say thank you, number one, and Adam as well. And for our customers, thanks again for all the support and all the collaborations. We love you. And for our prospective customers, we look forward to working with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Pedro and Adam, for coming on the podcast and chatting with me. I hope you have a great show.
Thank you
so much.
And to our viewers, we have Pedro and Adam from CTE Global. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time.